Welcome back to the Unredacted Truth, where we fill in the missing gaps in the world's largest scandals and mysteries. In a world of rumors and theories, my job is simple: uncovering the truth underneath the glitter and the grime. We are exposing a pattern: protection, power, predators, structures built not on justice, but on silence, fear, and impunity. We're not talking theory, we're talking court records, stamps, dates, testimony, and a system that, to this day, continues to fail the public and protect the predators among us. Let's get to it.
Welcome back to the Unredacted Truth. We are currently at narrative number 25 of the Palm Beach Police investigative notes into Jeffrey Epstein's crimes. These are the original notes from the 2005 investigation. So if this is your first video that you're catching us on, I highly recommend you hit pause, go back and start from the very first video so you can kind of follow along and know what's happening with where we are in the case. All right. So far we have learned. Once again, we're going to do a quick summary of where we're at. In the very last video that we went through, Detective Joe was still talking to more of the victims. Detective Joe had also produced subpoenas for the people who worked for Epstein, specifically Juan Alessi, his wife, Marie Alessi, as well as Alfredo Rodriguez. I also showed you copies of those subpoenas as well. Again, we are looking at the original investigative notes because every injustice that we've all been upset about from the 2019 indictment and on was a direct fallout, a cause from what happened in 2005. And that is why we're following chronologically from the beginning to the end, so we can all understand exactly what went on behind the scenes when it came to Epstein and why it happened the way it is, and those who need to be held accountable. I don't know if they'll ever be held accountable, but at least they cannot hide in the shadows anymore like they truly have been. Once again, if you want to actually know the entire facts and the truth and not rhetoric, and now is your time to hit that subscribe button so you can make sure that you follow along with all the files. We are just going through the police investigative notes. From there, we will be then going through the original grand jury transcripts that led up to the first indictment and the sweetheart deal. We have so many documents to go through. I'm sorry it took me this long to just kind of like stop complicating it and just give you the facts. Yeah. Okay. Let's go. So where are we? We're in narrative number 25. I have been at this since 11 a.m. It's now 7:27 p.m. So I apologize. The brain is slowing down. The tongue is getting heavy, but I want us to get through these part, like at least get through the investigative notes so we can move on to the grand jury details and transcripts. Once again, a Substack is available with a longer format of this video. I am keeping the PG-rated version on YouTube and Spotify, and the more extended versions will be available on Substack. So visit there. Link is pinned. I don't know if I mentioned that before, but the Substack and all the links will be pinned in the comments below for you to easily follow, and you'll also be able to download the files for yourselves so you can follow along. Okay, let me just hop right back into it. So we are starting with Detective Joe, Detective Carey. Currently we are, let's see a little slim back. We are currently looking at the investigations. We are November 29th. Was the last entry we were reading. Okay, it continues to say by Dr. Joe. I am tired. Dr. Joe. Detective Joe continues in his police notes. And here, let's go. A review of the telephone message books which were obtained during the 7th warrant was conducted, in which various messages from different dates were made to Jeffrey Epstein. The telephone message books have a duplicate copy, carbon copy, which once a phone message is written into the book, the top copy is then torn on the perforated edge and the carbon copy is left in the book. First names of girls, dates, and telephone numbers were on the copy of the messages. I recognized various numbers and names of girls that had already been interviewed. The body of the messages was time of the day that they called for confirmation of work. Other names and telephone numbers were located in which the body of the messages were I have girls for him or I have two girls for him. These messages were taken by Sarah for Jeffrey Epstein. Once again, we know that is Sarah Callum. Based on the context of the body of the messages, I requested subpoenas for subscriber information on the telephone numbers and the time frame involved. Copies of the messages were made for evidentiary purposes. I'm going to take a quick pause here because I remembered I told you when we came back I was going to show you the emails between like Dershowitz to Detective Joe and Guy Fawcett, Epstein's lawyers. There is also I also have copies of the message books. Let's finish this entry by Detective Joe, and then we'll look at the evidence together at once after that. So let's continue. Where was I? Okay, second paragraph. I obtained yearbooks for 2005, 2004, and 2003. Once again, when it's redacted, we assume it is an underage victim. Let's continue. Again, if you have not, I highly recommend that you go and start from the front. I was going to start mentioning how many victims and the ages. It is all in the videos ahead. We are now towards the end of the investigative notes. All right, so it goes on to say Detective Joe, 10 yearbooks of a victim for 2005, school victims for 2005, 2004, and 2003. I first reviewed the 2005 yearbooks and located most of the girls I had spoken with. So it appears that at this point, he went to the high school that all the girls went to. We already established these girls were all friends or hung out in the same circles, and that's how they knew each other. And that's how it led them to all bringing each other to Epstein's house. He goes on to say, additionally, I located redacted. So based on the corrected name spelling, I was able to locate her on residence in Florida. On December 2005, Detective Caristo and I responded to her I located her at her home. She advised she is attending a certain school and is participating in the early release program so she can maintain her part-time job. So at this point, whoever he's trying to communicate with is a minor and like a juvenile syndrome. She got in trouble for something. Continues, as she is still a minor, I left a business card to have her mother return my call to request an interview with her daughter. We then left the area. Again, this seems to be like another minor who's also in a detention center. We know that Epstein liked and always targeted at-risk girls, youth. We also know the youngest victim in this case, was in one of those facilities. We also know, well, if you haven't, I do let you know in my first video with Virginia and Ronald Eppinger's experience. Virginia was also in one of these youth detention centers as well. Let's continue. So it says I also have previously researched a telephone number. A subpoena had been issued for the information. The number was registered to a redacted a victim's family and their name. Yeah, victim and underage victim and their family. Detective Caristo and I attempted contact with them, but with negative results. I left my business card on her front door requesting she return my call. We then responded to blank And I also attempted with, so at this point, he is trying to talk to all the other, just reach out to other victims and see if he can get contact with them. Detective Joe goes on to write, on December 9th, 2005, I received a telephone call from Redacted and her mother, a victim and the mother, who was made aware of the ongoing investigation in Palm Beach. She advised she was told of everything that occurred at Epstein's house involving Epstein and his staff. She advised she would also allow me to question her daughter about what occurred and would cooperate with the investigation. She provided me with her daughter's cell phone number to schedule an appointment for an official interview. Telephoned her cell phone and made a tentative appointment for Monday, December 2005. Another reason why I want to jump right into the evidence now is because a lot of these start in January 2006. So when we get to that point, then we'll go to the evidence now. I digress. Let's continue. So, Detective Joe continues to write. I then received a call from redacted victim's father, who stated he found the business card on his door. I explained that I was conducting an investigation and needed to speak with his daughter, as she may have information and that could assist in the investigation. He stated that his daughter no longer resides with him and has her own trailer in another trailer park. He advised he would tell her to call me. On December 2005, due to a conflict with schedule, arrangements were made to meet redacted victim on Tuesday, December 2005 at 5 p.m. So on December 2005, Detective Dawson and I traveled and met up with her. During her sworn statement, she stated that she was 16 years old. When she was taken to Epstein's house to provide a massage for money. She stated it was before Christmas last year when Redacted approached her and asked if she needed to make money for Christmas. Remember, it was always one student will bring another, bring another. She stated she did and agreed to provide a massage for money. Made arrangements to take, so the other redacted made arrangements to take her to the house and drove her to the house to work. She stated she could not remember the street name but would be able to drive to the street. They drove to the last house on the street and pulled in the last house on the left. They walked up the driveway and entered through a side gate which led to a kitchen door. Just like everybody else, it always starts in the kitchen. Did you say they knocked on the door where they encountered an employee who she described as a Spanish-looking lady? Could be at this point maybe Maria Alessi. They informed her that they were expected. They were then encountered by a white female with long blonde hair. She was unable to remember the name of the white female with blonde hair, but she was Epstein's assistant. She was led upstairs by the white female who explained that there would be lotions out already and Epstein would choose the lotion he wanted her to use. Every story he chose. She was led through the spiral staircase, which led to a master bedroom and bathroom. The massage table was already set up in the bathroom. She described the bathroom as a large, spacious bathroom with a steam room and shower beside it with a sink to the right. She was introduced to Jeff, who was on the phone when she entered. Jeff was wearing a white towel and lay on his stomach so that she may massage his feet and calves. It was always the feet. I think it was like a weird submission dominance thing, like I am a king. Let's not try and get into the minds of a pervert. She started the massage with the massage oil. Jeff chose to rub his feet and calves. Jeff got the phone and requested she massage his back as well. She began rubbing his back and got to the small of his back. During the rubbing of his back, Jeff asked her to get comfortable. He kissed her. She removed her pants and shirt. She removed her shirt and pulled her pants off. She stayed in her bra and thong. As she finished the small of the back, Jeff then turned onto his back. He instructed her. She rubbed his chest and pinched his nipples. Weirdo. As she began to rub his chest, Jeff asked questions about herself. She remembered telling him she attended blank school. Jeff asked her if she was active. Before she could answer, he also asked what positions does she enjoy. She stated she was shy, didn't like talking about those things. She continued rubbing his chest. Epstein reached up and snapped her bra from the front. She explained the bra she used had a front snapping device. Epstein rubbed her and asked her if she liked having her bra. She said, "No, I don't like that." Epstein then removed poor baby. Epstein then removed his towel and lay on the bed naked, exposing his pee-pee to her. He began touching his baited as he touched her. She explained Jeff then touched her by rubbing her with his fingers on the outside of her thumb. She tensed up and stated Jeff was aware that she was uncomfortable. This is even uncomfortable for me to read because it's minors. And it's like, I don't know. I am having such a hard time for all of this, just going through this thing. And the other thing that I wanted to point out as I was reading this is in the third Virginia video, third or fourth Virginia video, where we go into the details of when she first met Jeffrey Epstein. This is not Virginia Roberts, by the way they're talking about. This is another victim, but it's almost basically play by play of how Ghislaine and Epstein groomed Virginia the first time she went to the house. Okay, let's keep on going to the next paragraph. So she, the victim, stated that Jeff told her, "Relax, I'm not going inside." She further explained Jeff commented to her how beautiful and sexy she was. Jeff then moved her thumb to one side and now is stroking her. She said Jeff commented how hard it was and then inserted two fingers inside her and was stroking her. She tried pulling back to pull out his fingers and within her. Jeff removed his fingers from her and apologized for putting his fingers inside her. During this time, he kept his hand on her and kept rubbing. She stated he rubbed her real hard as he was baiting. She said he climaxed onto the towel he had previously wearing. And like he's getting more. Is he How long is he getting more and more aggressive? Oh my goodness. She said Jeff told her there's was $200 for her on the dresser within the master bathroom. Just told her that there was an additional 100 that was to be given to Redacted for bringing her there. Jeff told her to leave her telephone number with his assistants as he wanted to see her again. Jeff stated his assistant would contact her. I asked her if she received any formal massage training, to which she stated she did not. She stated it was the only time she ever went to work for Jeff and knew what happened to her was wrong. She stated she no longer speaks to that girl because she was upset that she took her there. She further stated that she never been contacted for any additional work. The interview was terminated. We left the area. He seemed to be sometimes just cruel with some of the girls and just so freaking dismissive. But he's not the only ones, because if you have watched the Leon Black video, like some of these men like to be cruel and vicious and aggressive against these like children. It's absolutely disgusting. Okay, let's go on to the next narrative. All right, this is Detective Dix. I said that a little too excited. So this is narrative number 26. This is Detective Alan C. Dix. And Detective Joe hadn't mentioned him earlier. He also assisted with the search warrant. So here, it starts with the date of the search warrant is October 20th, 2005. Detective Dix write, at approximately 9:30 a.m., I assisted with the execution of a search warrant at 358 El Brillo Avenue, Palm Beach. I thought it was El Brillo Way. Initially, I was assigned to enter the residence and conduct a sweep of the premises for safety purposes. I then accompanied CSEU Tech Pavlik while she photographed the exterior of the house. Once this was complete, I was assigned to search certain areas of the house with Detective Dawson as part of the search warrant. We began in the garage, searching 3 Mercedes-Benzes, a Harley-Davidson motorcycle, and adjacent closets in the garage. Nothing of evidentiary value was located. Then he goes on to write, we then searched 2 closets off the kitchen area on the east side. These can best be described as pantry or storage closets. Nothing of evidentiary value was obtained. Small office with adjoining bath was then searched. In the bath area, I located a phone message book with recent messages. This item was seized as evidence. Please note this bath and shower area are not used as designed, but are storage areas containing a variety of items to include a gun safe in the shower and assorted household items. We then searched a bath area and closet at the base of the main staircase in the foyer. Inside the closet, 2 massage tables were located as well as partial new photographs. These items were later seized as evidence. Nothing of evidentiary value was noted in the bath. We then searched 2 bedrooms upstairs on the east side of the residence. Located in the bathroom of the south bedroom was a penis-shaped soap. Located in the bedroom of the northern bedroom was penis and vagina-shaped soap as well as adult toys. These items were seized as evidence. We then searched the pool cabana located in the southwest corner of the property. Several photographs of nude females were seized as evidence. I was then assigned to stand by with a person I believe was Douglas Schulte. Mr. Schulte was in the residence at the beginning of the search warrant. He was present during the warrant service and subsequent search. I stood with him until the search was completed and I departed the residence. I had no conversation with him regarding the reason for her presence. Schlote was part of the architecture and design team that happened to be there. At first, I was wondering like why he was there, but then they mentioned something about Hurricane Wilma. So I'm not sure if the hurricane was before this, maybe he was renovating because of a hurricane. If it was after, then I don't know. Moving on. Regarding since evidence, all personal items were photographed in place and then collected by CSEU personnel. This concludes my involvement in this case. Now we move on to Detective Kroll, and this is narrative number 27. Okay, Detective Kroll goes on to write, courtesy Kroll, on Thursday, October 20th, 2005, at approximately 9:36 a.m. hours, I assisted in the execution of a search warrant located at 358 El Brio Way, Sina Avenue Way, Palm Beach, Florida. Residence of Jeffrey Epstein. I was instructed by case agent Detective Joseph Carey to secure all computer and media related material from the residence. Upon my arrival, I was directed by Detective Carey to a room designated as the kitchen staff office. I observed a silver in-color CPU with the left side cover removed, exposing the CPU's hardware sitting on the floor next to a glass-type desk. The CPU had no discernible identifiers or features indicating a make or model, so it was like custom. The CPU was powered off with the power cord not plugged in. The keyboard and mouse were atop the CPU. It should be noted that the CPU was not connected to a monitor, printer, or other media device. On the jack panel of the CPU, I observed an AV card with RCA jacks attached to it. This type of a hardware would allow audio and video to be downloaded onto the CPU's hard disk. The ends of the RCA jacks were unattached at the time of the search and no external camera was located within this room. But we remember Detective Joe found 2 cameras. A hidden camera in the garage shaped like a clock, and I wonder if that's where he took people to like discuss shady stuff. And then a hidden camera on his desk again, disguised as a clock. It continues to say the CPU was located on the right side of a desk that held a flat panel LCD screen. The desk also held another keyboard and mouse, indicative of a second computer. However, no other computer was found. It appeared as though the second computer had been recently removed, as the cable ends from the monitor, keyboard, and mouses were in the same area. A further search of the room revealed no media storage devices, i.e., CDs, floppy disks, zip disks, etc. This type of media is commonly stored in an area where computers are placed, yet no media was found. Oh, again, goes back. I think they had a snitch. Would it be a snitch? Right. Someone was telling Epstein what was happening. Like, he had a heads up. Continues to say, after completing a search of this room, I secured the CPU and turned all items of evidence to the evidence custodian for future forensic analysis via a property receipt. We already went through the property receipts. And then we need to do that again. I was then directed by Detective Riccieri to a room designated as the garden room, where I observed a wooden desk facing west. The west desk held a flat screen LCD monitor, keyboard, mouse, media card reader, and a printer. However, no CPU was located. So they're like in the midst of getting rid of like hard drives and computer stuff when the search warrant hit, it looks like. All of the cables were removed from an area where a computer had once been. A search of the desk area revealed no signs of any media devices. Detective Riccieri directed me to a third location designated as the cabana room, which is detached from the residence and located just south of the pool. Oh, I believe this is Alessi's room. In the southeast corner of the room, I observed an office-type setting. Yeah, Alessi's. I believe this was Alessi's because it was mentioned earlier. Setting with an L-shaped desk, holding a flat-screen LCD monitor, keyboard, mouse, and printer. However, no CPU was located. All of the cables were removed from an area where a computer had once been. A search of the desk after area revealed no signs of any media devices. Detective Riccieri directed me to a second detached structure located on a southeast corner of the property. This area of the structure was assigned with single letters to identify a particular part of the room. In the office area, designated as Room B, I observed a powered-on Dell Dimension CPU 2350 attached to an LCD flat screen panel monitor. The screen displayed an open Microsoft Internet Explorer browser with URL address for bellsouth.net. I observed no other active windows in the start panel windows and photograph screen. The power cord was removed from the back of the Dell CPU, and I disconnected the cable modem to prevent remote access. At that time, the Dell CPU marked the serial numbers, was secured and turned over to evidence custodian for future forensic analysis via property receipts. I also located several media-related items within Room B, which were recorded onto a property receipt and turned over to evidence custodians. I then responded to a bedroom designated as Room F, where I observed a white in color CPU marked Premium. The Premium CPU is in a computer desk which held a white CRT monitor, both of which were powered on. The CRT displayed messages from Norton antivirus software, warning of an expired subscription. I observed no other active windows in the SERP panel window and photographed the screen. I removed the power cable from the back of the Premium CPU and shut down all the media. The Premium marked with serial number was secured and turned over into evidence. I also located several media-related items within Room F, which were recorded onto the property receipt. This concludes my participation in the search of the residence. Whew. We're on page 64. This is 89 pages. So we're on page 64. We have about 20 pages left to go. Hey, there. Detective Joe takes it up once again. Narrative number 28 by Detective Joe. He continues on to write on December 20th, 2005. Okay, got a second week. When I contacted ASA Dahlia Weiss, for those who need a refresher. ASA Dahlia Weiss is the attorney general, and she was on the, what's her thingy? Where is she? Weiss, Dahlia, assistant state attorney. Sorry, here we go. She's the assistant state attorney, and she's the one who signed off on the subpoenas for Epstein's employees. Okay, back to it. Okay, so on December 20th, 2005, I contacted ASA Dahlia Weiss in an attempt to subpoena the Epstein former houseman Alfredo Rodriguez. Rodriguez, who resides in Miami, has eluded the process service previously and was not served the investigative subpoena. A telephone message was left as she is not available during the week of December 19, 2005. I made contact with state attorney in Trump, Teresa White, and requested the same via telephone. I then researched the victim's cell phone number data, which she had received from a previous subpoena request. I analyzed the records, which depict several calls from Haley Robson. The telephone calls start on February 6, 2005 at 12:49 p.m., the same day which the victim and the victim's father stated the incident occurred at Epstein's house. Okay, so now he is circling back to Sally, the original 14-year-old victim. I can tell that because we know, if you, from the first video, remember it happened Sunday, February 7th or 5th, one of the days. But it was a Sunday. So it goes on to say the second incoming call was from, goes on to say the incoming call occurred at 1:02 p.m. The call's duration were 1 minute or less. The time frame was within 13 minutes apart. It should be noted that Robson's residence was in close proximity to the victim's. The next call occurred at 5:50 p.m. when the victim telephoned Robson's residence. Several calls were made after the above-mentioned calls from incoming and outgoing to Robson. Further analysis showed no telephone calls to either Robson's cellular phone or Robson's residence were registered prior to February 6th. The victim's testimony when she does the grand jury. It goes on to say, additionally, I conducted analysis of the telephone calls from 305-710-5165. The subscriber information confirmed that the number is registered Paul A. Lavery from Hialeah. Sorry if I'm butchering your city. The address was cross-referenced to the office of Curley and Riley Private Investigators. I researched the webpage, www.rileykirley.com, which also showed various cases in which they assisted. I also located another website under www.coralspringsparklottery.org in which Mr. Riley attended a Miami Rotary Club and confirmed attorney Roy Black is among his clientele. Okay, so he's trying to figure out who these investigators are. The private investigators, if you remember correctly, those private 2 or 3 of the victims had said that they had been contacted by a private investigator. Detective Joe had also been contacted by a private investigator. So that's the number that he's looking to right now. And actually, I believe the last time I searched, those offices were still available. Let me double check. I'm sorry, no, I was wrong. Riley, what's his name? The RileyCure.whatever.com is no longer active. What I was able to find was the Rotary Club. It was the Rotary Club that I found with information. Is that even him in the picture? I don't know. It's just a bunch of people that are involved in this place. Where is it? Yeah, Parkland, Florida. Sorry, where were we? Okay, so Goes on to, yep, he found Roy Black is among his clients. The telephone calls revealed Lavery had contact with, these are the minor victims, redacted, excuse me, either just after I attempted to interview them or just prior to. So Lavery is one of the private investigators. A background was conducted for Lavery, which revealed he holds a current private investigator license. A criminal arrest record revealed he had been previously arrested for possession of cocaine and solicitation of prostitution. The company you keep. There's a reason why these people working for Jeffrey Epstein and protecting Jeffrey Epstein. Alan Dershowitz. Continue. I also researched the girls using MySpace.com. This website. So pay attention to his notes about MySpace.com and what he writes. So Detective Joe does his own investigation for MySpace. I researched www.myspace.com. This website is a new social networking service from what was new that allows members to create unique profiles online in order to find communicate with old and new friends. The site allows to establish your own MySpace.com page. He's explaining it. So he's looking for the MySpace profiles for Haley Robson and the other 5 or 6 victims that she brought to Epstein's house. I received a singular wireless package which contained a CD. The results of the subpoena request verbatim called on blank. An analysis will be conducted, and if she arrived, replies back from another phone number subpoena. But listen, that's all. He writes, he looked them up on Facebook. That is all Officer Joe writes about it. Why I'm pointing this out is because later he receives another Facebook package. And I am thinking, I would believe common sense, 2 and 2 together. If he researched these girls and found something that was like material or important to their character or anything, he would have messaged, or something that was crazy, he would have mentioned it. But it says, yep, I looked footnote and moved on. Okay, let's continue on to the next set of notes. Again, remember MySpace. It's going to come up again. So Detective Joe is still writing, and he says, upon doing research on the message books recovered in the search warrant, I located the identity of Redacted. The telephone number Redacted was was registered to Redacted. So these are more victims that he's finding. She's currently 17 years old and attending a certain school, also known as I located. So at this point, he goes to find her and locates the school. So he locates blank inside the foundation and informed her that I was investigating a case against Jeffrey Epstein and knew she had been at the house. She started to cry. Another victim that's just crying when you mention Jeffrey Epstein's house. She started to cry and advised she had put that part of her life behind her. I explained that although she is 17 years old, I needed to inform her parents that she would be interviewed. She provided her home phone number. I attempted contact with and left a voicemail at the house to speak with her parents. Okay, again, so to recap, 5 of the victims that Detective Joe and Detective Pagan talked to, 5 of them were 17, 6 of them were 16 at the time of this investigation. Doesn't mean that's the time they met Jeffrey Epstein. I don't want to call him Jeffrey. That humanizes him a bit too much. Let's continue. So she says, Detective Joe continues to write that Detective Caristo and I located Redacted at her residence, another victim. I attempted to interview her about Jeffrey Epstein. She advised me that she is so in love with Jeff Epstein and would do anything for him. She further explained that she would not speak with us about him, either negative or positive. She asked us to leave her property. I informed her that although she did not wish to speak with us, I had sufficient information at this point in the investigation to know she was at Epstein's house and provided girls to Epstein to work. I also explained that prior to her arrival at her residence, I had contact with her father, so she's a minor. She The girl who is the victim right now is currently 17 years old, and as a juvenile, parental notification will be required. We then left the area and returned to the police station. Remember, at this point, Epstein and Sarah Kellen are actively trying to suppress the investigation. They're reaching out to victims. They're sending private investigators. Like, at this point, they're actively in it and trying to put the squash it. So he goes on to say, Detective Joe writes, while at the police station, and left another message for victims' parents. I began an analysis of Sarah Kellen's cellular telephone. The phone number is assigned to Sarah Kellen, and the financially responsible party is Jeffrey Epstein of 457 Madison Avenue in New York City, New York. Remember, this is the condo, the townhouse in New York. Goes on to write, the time frame which was subpoenaed was September 2005 through October 2005. They were 87 pages of calls made either to the cell phone or from the cell phone. The local 561 numbers were analyzed. A spreadsheet was prepared and placed into the attachment file of who was called. The unknown numbers were researched using phonefinder.com. The subpoenas were requested to determine subscriber information. This was done to identify additional victims or witnesses. The analysis revealed that Kellen had called the victims/witnesses frequently when Epstein was in the town of Palm Beach to work. This confirms what the girls interviewed have previously stated. Helen would notify them when Epstein was in town and their willingness to work. The CD was placed into evidence. Investigation continues. All right, where were we? Okay. Detective Joe continues to write, on December 29th, 2005, I received a fax for all the youngins from National Compliance Center from the singular wireless phone number ending in 0282. This was the number for Haley Robson during the time frame when the victim was brought to Epstein's house to work. An analysis of the phone records of all incoming and outgoing calls showed that on February 6th, the day the victim, it says Sally, was brought to the house. So now we're talking about victim A. That is the 14-year-old. Robson first called Sarah Kellen, Epstein's assistant, at phone number ending in 33663 at 12:50 p.m. Eastern. The next call was made to Epstein's house in Palm Beach at 12:52 Eastern. The following call was made to the victim at 1:01 p.m. Eastern and at 1:02 p.m. Eastern. So I guess maybe she didn't pick up, so she had to Haley called her again. Goes on to say, this confirms the information provided by the victim and the victim's father. I photocopied the records and enlarged the page 8 of 10 to show the calls by Robson on February 6th. To this date, I have not heard from victims' parents. I will attempt to establish contact with them during the evening hours. I received a package from attorney Guy Frosted. We'll look at that package together, which was hand-delivered at the police station. Within the package was a letter from Alan Dershowitz and 2 MySpace profiles. The profiles were that of Redacted and Redacted. MySpace.com is a social, explains what MySpace again is. This package was in response to a previous meeting in which Mr. Dershowitz called to assist in the investigation and providing any additional witnesses such as house employees who have been reluctant to speak with law enforcement. I reviewed the profiles Mr. Dershowitz enclosed. Redacted, who designed her blog to be, still attends a certain school, sends and receives messages from friends which contain some profanity. Upon reviewing her friend's comment section from MySpace.com, most of her friends sent message to establish contact and invite her to go out. I then reviews Redacted's weblog, which was provided by Mr. Dershowitz. Mrs. designed her blog to be. Her blog states that she has interests including music, theater, and weed marijuana. I reviewed the package in which she declared her love for her live-in boyfriend. She also describes using marijuana with her boyfriend. The letter Mr. Dershowitz sent advised he was looking into the allegation that one of the private investigators used by the private attorneys of Epstein attempted to impersonate or state that they were police officers from Palm Beach. Mr. Dershowitz advised that the investigator used to interview Redacted had quite a distant speech impediment, did not claim to be, nor did they impersonate themselves as a police officer. This package was sent to ASA, we'll review it, Lana Belohovec and ASA Dahlia Weiss at the state attorney's office. I made telephone contact with ASA Weiss to confirm she received the package and request an interview with Sarah Kellen, Nadia Marchinkova, Jonas Benasek. She advised she would assist in attempting to contact Mr. Dershowitz. On January 3rd, 2006, I received a phone call from ASA Weiss, who informed me that she made telephone contact with Mr. Dershowitz. She had requested the employees be available the week of January 3rd, 2006. Mr. Dershowitz informed her that the assistants are out of the country and would require additional time to locate them and make them available. Investigation continues. Very convenient that Nadia, Sarah Kellen, Adriana, all of them, all together are just whisked out of the country at about the same time that ASA Weiss needs to speak with them. But right here, I'm going to do I think this is a good time to now pivot, and then we can look at the package she was talking about that Dershowitz had sent to him. Okay, mon ami. So, this is the package that he's speaking about that he received from Frostum to Lana Belohovec, or I like to call her Belho. All right, so this is June 2000. Oh no, this is a bit before. This is from Jack Goldberg. Jack Goldberg hasn't entered the conversation yet, so I'm going to skip over that one. There are some doubles of it. Let's see. As to Barry Krishner, Barry Krishner hasn't joined the conversation. I apologize. Let's skip over that for now. We can start with, boom. So these are copies of the MySpace pages that Mr. Alan Dershowitz so generously found. Remember these MySpace pages, especially when we get into the grand jury? Because sneak peek, something shady about the pages that Alan Dershowitz put together. That will be confirmed, not yet in the police investigative notes, but in the grand jury testimony. And B, if this was in the victim's MySpace pages, why didn't Officer Recurioso note these things, right? Because this goes to the, I guess, they're trying to say this goes to the credibility of the young girls. So this is just images of the MySpace pages that Dershowitz so kindly provided. The next exhibit, where are we? Let's see what's this. This is a letter from Alan Dershowitz, and I believe this is the package where he's asking whether he is able to participate. This is from Alan Dershowitz to Lana. Dear Lana, Guy has asked me to provide you with research on why it makes a difference whether Mr. Epstein pleads no contest to guilty. As you can see in the enclosed statute, a plea of no contest is not admissible as an admission against interest in a subsequent and civil case. A plea of guilty, even so-called best interest plea of guilty, is admissible. This is the only real legal difference. If you need anything further, please. So this is, okay, we're still not here. So this is part of the emails between Alan Dershowitz and the ASA when this is back and forth as they're trying to get to the sweetheart deal. They're negotiating the deal back and forth between the two of them. So this is a letter from Alan Dershowitz to the state attorney's office when they're representing, when he's trying to negotiate the sweetheart deal for Epstein. I believe this is from Guy Froston. This is in April 2006. This is a little bit further ahead. Give me 1 second. Let me see where we are. Okay, let's start that again. So the first piece of evidence, we have a letter to Lana from Guy Froston. This is dated January 13, 2006, and I believe this is when they're letting them know about Alan Dershowitz joining the team. It says, "Dear Lana, please allow this letter to serve as formal notice that I represent Mr. Jeffrey Epstein in regard to the investigation your office is conducting of Mr. Epstein. Additionally, Alan Dershowitz Esquire is a close friend of Mr. Epstein, is serving as counsel to me, my representation. Mr. Epstein, Mr. Dershowitz is working closely with me on this matter, and in the event charges are filed, will likely petition to enter an appearance as pro hoc vice along with other counsel." He kept doing that throughout the thing. "I appreciate the dialogue you have permitted throughout the investigation. I trust you will invite me for pre-filing interview in the event that the state decides it has enough evidence to charge Mr. Epstein with a crime. Looking forward to blah, 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 blah." So this is the first email that's letting Lana know, hey, I am the lawyer and I will be working very closely with Alan Dershowitz. Next, this is from January 11th. So remember, Detective Joe had Dahlia Weiss to help him in getting to speak with the different people who work for Epstein. So this is to Lana. It should have been to Dahlia Weiss, but see how they're only messaging Lana? Anyway, it says, "Dear Miss Bill Holovic, as you know, I represent Mr. Jeff Epstein, Mr. Epstein's house manager, Janusz, but was asked to speak with your office regarding the matter that I represent Mr. Epstein on. I anticipate of Mr. Janusz's meeting with your office. He decided to retain legal counsel. Yesterday, he met and retained attorney Michael Solnick. You'll be attending Mr. B's statement in your office today at 1:30 p.m. So they're able to get Giannis in front to write a statement, but he has been covered with attorneys that we later know and should know by now were paid for by Epstein. So since your questioning of him concerns information that he may have arises out of his employment with Mr. Epstein will be paying for the attorney fees." There we go. They said it right there. "I felt it important to notify you of this third-party attorney fee payment structure and confirm that you have no objection." This is to Lana, not Weiss. "Mr. Epstein would like to wire the payment for Mr. Solnick's representation to Mr. Sutnick as soon as possible. Therefore, I would appreciate you getting back to me on this matter." Let me know. I don't know. Is it normally okay for the defendant to pay the witness attorney fees? Did he do that with one of the people who testified? Wasn't he paying her attorney fees? I don't know. The whole thing's a little sketchy because one was in the wind, I guess. This one is still for Maltnick. He is asking whether his client, Juan, can get his computer and related equipment back before Tuesday because they did get and confiscate things out of Juan's room in the cabana in Epstein's house, or what they call the servant quarters. Then we have Slimy Dershowitz's letter to Detective Joe. Because as you remember, he had said that he wanted to respond to him about the very aggressive private detectives. Dershowitz writes, "Dear Detective Ricari, I'm sending you this letter in response to the serious concern you raised at your meeting, an alleged claim that one of our investigators," so he's claiming them, "and had misrepresented himself as a police officer and in fact had actually attempted to impersonate you. No, he said he had called and left messages on Detective Joe's phone number. He didn't say he tried to impersonate him. As I told you, neither I nor my client would ever tolerate any such conduct on the part of our investigators. Not true. These people are aggressive. We'll keep reading. With that in mind, I immediately began an inquiry of our staff and believed that the contemporaneous notes taken by our investigators while attempting to interview Redacted, the victim, will provide necessary explanation for you thoroughly justified consternation. It will also, I believe, provide a more troublesome and telling illustration of her character. Dershowitz has had one rule throughout this thing, and that's character assassination of every victim. That's all he does. It's character assassination. We'll look at his character. Oh, by the way, that's another thing we're going to eventually look at is Dershowitz own deposition where he admits to having a massage and a few other strange, not couth things related to Epstein. But let's keep going. So it continues, at our meeting, you may recall, I also advised you that our investigation had discovered at least one of her websites that I am enclosing some examples. You will notice that she herself has chosen to go by the nickname of Pimp Juice. What does that have to do? And the site goes on to detail, including photos of her apparent fascination with marijuana. This will come as no surprise. Sorry, let me go. Surprise to you, as I am sure you already aware of her recent Palm Beach arrest for both possession and marijuana paraphernalia. They even send this minor's arrest records and to further discredit and tarnish her reputation and her character. So then the following are not. Both of them have many years of experience. But as well, he's just going on to say, in the instance, they were instructed to take the victim's statement verbatim because we feared that she, an accomplished drama student. He's like, look at setting them as liars. Let's read that. So both of them, the following road notes were taken by investigators. One who suffers from a quite distinct speech impediment, making therefore a truly innocent claim of impersonation virtually impossible. Virtually impossible, you liar. Both of them have many years' experience in conducting defense investigations and debriefing witnesses. They're both well versed in the law and extremely sensitive to any potential allegations of wrongdoing. Extremely sensitive to potential wrongdoings, especially from witnesses who may have their own agendas. Their own agendas. Look at this. In this instance, they were instructed to take the victim's statement verbatim because we feared that she, an accomplished drama student, might try to mislead them as successfully as she had misled others. They were characters that, oh, how do you know who? And she was so nice. This is one of the people. Did he know this was one of the people that refused to talk? But as you will read, they never got a chance to even ask her a single question. I just get so annoyed with these people. This man. Okay, so it goes on to say, what did it say? They were quite shocked at overwhelming nonstop barrage of profanity being hurled at them at a furious pace of volume from initially appeared only to be a young woman of slight build and soft demeanor. The following's an excerpt. So these are the notes from the investigator showing their innocence. So, on November 1st, 2005, my partner Steve Curali and I traveled to Orange Park, Jacksonville, Florida, in order to attempt interview with the victim. The purpose of having two people present was to act as witnesses as to whatever may have been said by the victim during the course of your interview. Okay. She lives with her 18-year-old boyfriend, William, and his mother and boyfriend at Orange Park, Florida. At approximately 6:30 p.m., she arrived home, waited about 10 minutes, and approached the residence. I knocked on the door, and a woman, who I now know as Mary Parker, was arrived at the door. I told her what we would like to speak with the victim. She said there was no one there by that name. I said there must be because her Jeep was parked up front. She said, I'm sorry, you mean? I said yes, then came to the door. The following conversation took place. She then said, okay, so Riley, They said the victim said, "My name is Bill Riley," as I handed her my business card. This is how apparently the notes wrote. He wrote these notes, okay? And this is my partner, Steve. We are investigators from Miami working on behalf of Jeffrey Epstein. The victim said, "I don't talk to cops and I'm not talking to him." Riley says, "We're not cops." The victim says, "You need to leave. Get the F off my property. Leave now." Riley, "There is no need to be hostile. We are not cops. We are just trying to." This is supposedly the same cops. This is the calm people who are running other witnesses off the road. But no, they're just calmly talking to the victim. Apparently, the victim says, "You need to get the F off my property." And then they replied, "There is no need to be hostile. We're not cops. We're just here to try to learn the truth." Tim replies, "Get the F off my property. Why are you still standing there?" Riley says, "Ma'am, we're not being hostile. We're just whatever." It goes on and on and on. She keeps saying, "Get off my property." They refuse to leave. And then they end with them leaving. And then in the end, he says, "In the event that the source of allegation is neither of the two women mentioned above, if you could provide me with the name of that person or personas making the claim." Why would you? Okay, Alan Dershowitz, after giving these notes, ends the letter with, "In the event that the source of the allegation is neither of the two women mentioned above, if you would provide me with the name of the person or personas making the claim, I will check the relevant investigators." Why? Because you knew already that something messed up happened and you're trying to cover your tracks. Why would you say if it was something else, you wouldn't know exactly. You gave the specific incident because you knew something messed up happened with it and say, if that is not the person. How many other people were you talking to like that? Dershowitz, that you're sending these aggressive investigators to harass minor and barely legal, because the girls were 18. That is not an adult. 18-year-old victims on behalf of your very close PEDO friend, pedo friend Jeffrey Epstein, Alan Dershowitz. Let's continue with it. So this is what he said was supposed to like negate the accusation of having his investigators impersonate cops. He also said a bunch. He said one of two. Notice I said one of two or one of many MySpace pages, because he is setting it up already. He is setting up the story in case they notice that they may be more than one actual Facebook. MySpace, one of many MySpaces, he says. Let's keep going. And the last part to review, we have message book number 1. We have some of them. So this looks like messages from Maxwell. Messages from Jean-Luc Brunel. Quick refresher, Jean-Luc, around Epstein time in 2019, 2020, he was also arrested. He was very close to Epstein. He was a French modeling agent. Huge perv. And actually there was also there was a bunch of documentaries and series of all the messed up things he did. Almost kind of little, not a spoiler alert, but preview for in Virginia's books. He is written to have gifted Epstein girls. I'll leave it there. We'll get more when we get to the point. But that is Jean-Luc Brunel's. Please call him. Let's see, that would be up. She is wondering if 2:30 is okay, because she needs to stay in school. Obviously a minor victim. Calling, wondering whether she can come later to give the freaking massage because she's still in school. Jean-Luc again called. Satin, that she returned your call. I don't know who Satin is. Lori, please call her back. She's around, would like to speak with you. There's Cecilia. Eva, we know Eva, that's Glenn Dubin's wife. And the video that we discuss, Naomi Campbell's birthday party Jeffrey Epstein, the Simpsons producer Rick Hilton. We also discussed Glenn and Eva Dubin. Virginia was sent to them for massage. Eva Dubin was actually Epstein's girlfriend before she married Glenn Dubin. And in the Billionaires Playbook Club by Virginia Roberts, she does state that for the good girlfriends, if you cut it, as a girlfriend, Epstein, when you age out for him, remember, even 23 is too old, he would then marry you off to, if you're lucky and he liked you and they liked you, he would then marry you off to one of his billionaire friends. And some of us may remember that checkbook of Epstein in the birthday book where he says sold a barely depreciated woman or whatever. Actions. Anyway, it goes back more. My phone number, Cecilia, don't know who that is. Helen, Paula. She's at the Breakers Hotel. The Breakers Hotel is where Virginia Roberts was sent to massage Glenn and Eva Dubin. Seems like a lot of stuff happened at the Breakers Hotel. Please call her when you have time. Who is this? Les Wexner. Les from Columbus. Les is Lex Wexner. For Jeffrey Epstein to call him back. There's Glenn. So even now we have Glenn. Mort Zuckerman, Mr. Facebook, right here. I believe. Let me double check that. I apologize. Mort Zuckerman is a real estate person. Billionaire, media proprietor, magazine editor, and investor. We need some good billionaires to look forward to. So there's Mort Zuckerman, editor-in-chief of U.S. News and World Report News. That's why no one's giving you all the details like we're giving you here on the Unredacted Truth. Let's keep going. My bad, I forgot to show you who Mort Zuckerman here. Here's Mr. Mort. Billionaire, Canadian-American billionaire, media proprietor, magazine and editor and investor. These people also in the media, that's why you're not getting the full story from any publication like you are here. I got nothing to lose. Let's keep going on with where we were at. Glenn Dubin, Dr. Moshkowitz's office. We got a Bruce here from India, from Thailand. I can't even tell. Do you want to see him? Helen again. Eva Anderson, that she called. Sarah, is it okay if Redacted will come at 5? See, Sarah Kellen, another. Is it okay if minor would come at 5? Tatum, we're going to hear about Tatum coming up. She's another one of the victims. She can be here tomorrow, here for 2 p.m. or whenever. I believe Tatum is above. She's not a minor anymore. That's why they didn't bother hiding her name. Just calling to check in. Someone's Tatum again. Please call her. Let's see. Larry Viscosi. We've already mentioned Larry took over for David Rogers as the main pilot, and in the USVI and estate videos that I've done previously, you get to know more about Larry Viscosi's participation and involvement in the whole thing, and he kind of looks really creepy. I'll show you what he looks like. And just like, creepy, right? He is so creepy looking. Okay, let's go back to the message pads. Next, okay, Tatum again, Selena. These are all like victim names. Jean-Luc, Eva, Selena, and Jordan. Julie, Glenn Dubin again, Nadia. Would like for you to call her? So Nadia, I'm assuming this is Nadia Merchkova. More people. Adriana, we already heard Adriana's name. Mike Sachs, Silvatana, Vanessa Modley. Look at all these names. Women's names. Something Goldsmith, Heather Ghislaine Maxwell, Luke, Stephanie Burns, Adriana, Dr. Another doctor. Jim, I don't know why that sounds for Jim Daly. Why does that sound so familiar? I didn't seem to find anything. Why do that name pops up? More Tatiana. If you've watched the Alan Dershowitz video that I did, he denies being with Tatiana on a plane, and then he gets caught with pictures of Tatiana on a plane She was another victim. When he's trying to say that every woman on the plane, on Epstein's plane, was wearing suits. Tatiana comes up. She's one of the people attached to Alan Dershowitz, and she's also a victim. Looks like G is Ghislaine. We've got lots from Eva and Glenn Dubin. More names. Please call her after 6:30. Darren, no idea who Darren was. Jim Lucas from Wexner office. Jim Lucas, the head of the department, has answered to aircraft his number. So it looks like Wes Wexner was giving Jeffrey Epstein a plane for this one. Conference call at 9 a.m. Joanna, we've heard Joanna's name being mentioned. Ghislaine, Adriana. Adriana was another assistant, another victim of Epstein. Nadia again. More female names. The ones who are left, Adriana left a message. Redacted means she's a minor, confirmed at 11 a.m. See Vanessa, who is again a minor, 4:30 p.m. after school. Oh, Just Dolly. Again, we've done a full expose on Just Dolly. He worked for Wells Fargo. Not Wells Fargo, I apologize. That is wrong. JP Morgan. JP Morgan's Just Dolly was the main dude in JP Morgan that was helping with the laundering and hiding of the Epstein funds. We've done videos on J. Dolly too. Another minors at 3:30 p.m. That's again after school hours. Another minor. AJ canceled. Julie, she would like to speak to you, I believe, about college. Should I schedule only anyone? Again, we already know that Epstein likes to kind of like get into the girls by promising them to help them with school and stuff as well. That was another one of his tactics for grooming the young ladies. Another one, 5 p.m. is okay with her. So these are just appointments for masseuses. Got an invitation. Declined. Dana Burns got an invitation. Declined invitation. Call her in North Salem. Someone's in North Salem. Dana Burns. Let's see, who's that? Okay, so I just Googled Dana Burns. She's the only one who can say like proof that she didn't maybe not hang out with yeah. Okay, so this is on September 10th, 2005. They called Dana September 10th, and she declined to meet with Jeffrey and Ghislaine Maxwell. Watch this. So I Googled Dana Burns and says, Dana public appearance. Dana Burns was photographed attending the Imperial U.S. launch party at the Statue of Liberty with Epstein on September 7th. So 3 days before he met her for the first time, they tried to invite Dana Burns to a meeting wherever with Ghislaine and Maxwell, and she swerved them completely. Good for you, Dana. She's the only person so far. No, actually, there's others, but first one who says no, who can actually definitively say it wasn't me. Back to this. We're back to the message, but I was just going through quickly. Dana returns to court 12. So no, this is on the same day. I went to Sarah and made her water bottle, and I went to work out. Is that a different Dana? I think so. It says Dana Burns declined. And then Jeffrey Epstein, Dana for Jeffrey Epstein. Ghislaine Maxwell. Returning your call. I think that's someone else. Returning your call at 12:20. Because it doesn't make sense. Why would she deny? So maybe that's a different person. I went to Sarah and made her water bottle, and I went work out with Ghislaine Maxwell, GM. Dana, 5:40 p.m. Nadia. I think that's a different person. Dana, maybe, because I don't know. It doesn't make sense. Why would she decline the invitation? And then they have her down here. And it says from her, returning your call. Oh, maybe she called back. Burns decline invitation. Maybe she declined the invitation at first from Ghislaine Maxwell. And then she called back at 12:20. Maybe he talked to her. So maybe when she called back, returning your call this time, Epstein took charge of the conversation. Then later that day, she calls back and says she went and spoke with Sarah, made her water bottle, and worked out with Ghislaine. So when she first denied it, she denied Ghislaine, and then Epstein seems to have stepped in with Dana Burns and changed her mind. Got her to meet with them. What happens after that, we shall see. Adrian, we already saw that. Nadia, that's all people we know. It's Douglas. Something reviewed the today to take several days to do. You know what that's for. Adriana assistant, Nadia. Adriana hasn't confirmed Juliet tomorrow at 11 yet, so she's keeping Brittany on hold. Again, just talking about the girls. Merge Goldsmith. Someone Goldsmith. Again, more confirmations about the girls. Mr. Goldsmith again, Larry Viscosi, Global is at Jet Aviation. Not sure what Global is. Sarah talking about Stephanie Burns. Dana Burns, Stephanie Burns. Sounds like sisters. We'll find out more information about them. American Cell. Oh, Jean-Luc. That's the French supplier. There's no point. Well, he's on paper, he was a modeling agent, but truly he just supplied girls. All right, I'm exhausted. It is almost, it's after 9 o'clock. I have been on this since 11 o'clock at night. My voice is shot. My eyes are shot. We are going to leave it here for now. And then we'll continue tomorrow and keep going. We're on page 68. They said there's 8. We have like 20 pages left to go. With the investigation, it's a lot. I know, I get it. Thank you so much for coming through this journey with me. Thank you so much for supporting the truth and this investigation. Head over to Substack, where you can see the documents, analyze the documents for yourself, as well as get the full video that is not censored for YouTube for you as well. Oh my goodness, I am exhausted. I need to sleep so I can wake up early in the morning, continue so we can together finish the investigative notes, move on to the grand jury and all the other files that are necessary to put this tragic, horrid puzzle and tale together. Hit the subscribe button if you want to know the facts, the full story, and not rhetoric. No omission, no summaries, no narration of the story, just the facts so you can make your own decision. Thank you so much for watching. Catch you next time. This is Sonia on the Unredacted Truth. Good night.